Hello, hello, we are live. Good evening, everyone. How is it going? Right, if you can hear me loud and clear, just type loud and clear in the chat box. Just let me double check my audio. Let me see. Good evening, everyone. Right, it's working fine. Great. Right. Hello, evening, everyone. How is it going? Let us know where are you watching this from. Right, my name is Eunice. I'm an entrepreneur, speaker, and trainer. Welcome to our Facebook page and YouTube channel on Daily People Skills. Let us know where you're watching this from. Right, are you watching this from Singapore or outside Singapore? If you're watching this from outside Singapore, let us know where are you watching this from. Which country, what time zone? I should say good morning and good afternoon to some of you as well. Right. So what are you doing? Let us know. Are you working from home or are you have been you're back to work? And if you're watching this from Singapore, are you watching this while having your dinner or you already have your dinner? What do you have? Let us know. Let us know. Right. So once again, welcome to our weekly Facebook live sessions where we share our experiences when dealing with people and the mistakes we made, and of course, many of the hot tips and solutions we use in our daily lives. Now, many people think that people skills is just about EQ, communication skills, and leadership skills. But people skills go much, much beyond that. At the bottom line, it is about who you really, really are. Because before you can manage anyone, you must first manage yourself. It is also one skill that will never be replaced by technology and artificial intelligence. For me, that I firmly believe in that. Now, more about that later on. For now, let's jump right into today's topic. Right, and let me share my screen. Great. Right, so today's topic is really, really special. So last week I talked about what can we learn from this amazing 9-year-old whose invention was accepted by NASA because this boy had solved a huge problems for the astronauts. Now, if you missed that, go and watch it, right? It's just last week. Now, after that, someone was asking me, what about the older ones? Oh yeah, that's right. We have to talk about one extreme to the other, right? Surely we can learn even more stuff from them. So I did a research and I was totally in awe of these so-called older folks. Now in this session, I'm going to share 11 amazing people who are simply extraordinary. So let's get started for today. Right, to start with, I just want to share that age is really just a number. A lot of people say that and pay lip service to it, but actually it's really, really just a number. And this 11 so-called older folks I'm going to show you, right? They really defy the stereotyping of the older ones and all. And I'm going to share most of them are in their 90s already. And the second half, some of them are not quite 90s, but they are entering in their 90s, right? And it's just so amazing. So I just want to jump right into it. First up, let's see the first one, right? Okay, first one is this lady called Harriet Thompson, right? Oh, I pronounce your name correctly. I'm not very good with names. Now let's take a look. Who is she? Some of you might have seen her before, and she looks familiar. Yes, she's actually a marathoner, right? She's actually a classical pianist to start with, and also a cancer survivor. Right, she started her first marathon at the age of 76, and at the age of 91, she ran a marathon in 7 hours. A little bit more on that, right? So most people won't even run a marathon. But in June 2014, right, this lady, Harriet Thompson, completed her 15th and broke a few records during the process. Now, at 91 years old, Thompson is the oldest woman ever to complete in the Suja, Rock and Roll San Diego Marathon. And she's also the second oldest marathon runner in US history, right? So in this particular race, she finished the race in 7 hours, 7 minutes and 42 seconds, breaking the US record for the fastest time in her age group, right? And Miss Thompson, a cancer survivor, she has been running since 1999 and ran her first marathon at age 76. Right? I don't know how many of you have run a marathon before. I have completed a marathon before. Some of you know my story, right? And my record was 8 hours. So can you imagine? And when I did it, I was in my, how old was I? Maybe in my late 20s or early 30s. No, sorry, it's actually 30s. All right. So, and I did it in 8 hours. Can you imagine that? Such an embarrassing record, right? And is what, 70, when she did that, she was 76, right? Yes, 76. Oh, yeah. Sorry, this one she was when she ran the 7 hours. The marathon that she finished in 7 hours is when she was 91. Can you imagine that? Wow. Some of the 91, most of them, when we think of people in the 90s, we always think of rocking chairs, walking sticks, and pain here, pain there, right? But not this lady. Definitely not the 11 ones that we are going to feature here. And more about them in a minute, right? So I know, right? So marathon is something that you need to really train for. And I only run once ever in my life. And towards the end, I have blister in my foot. And I have to finish and push myself for the last 5 kilometers, 7 kilometers. It was so painful. And I muscle cramp after that and all. Right, but this lady, she has finished 15 in her lifetime, and I think, and she broke a few records as well, and she's still faster than me, right? So it really put me to shame, right? So if you see my Facebook postings about all these 11 elderly, right, you will see that some of them do it, no, not some of them, all of them really put us to shame to a certain extent, but in a good way. Okay, don't people too embarrassed or feel condemned or whatever, but it's just treat it as an inspiration from all these elderly. If they can do it, so can we. And don't let age stop you from doing whatever you want, right? We'll see more of what these people are doing, right? Next up, let's see the next one. Second one I want to feature is actually this lady called Gloria Struck, right? She is so amazing. Now, when you think of elderly, right, what do you think is their mode of transport? Right, let me show you the picture. Right, this lady is still roaring around on a Harley Davidson motorcycle, and she still intend to embark on a cross country trip at age 100. Right, so she was born in 1925, and she's age 95 now. Right, and her first motorbike ride was at the age of 16 in 1941. Now, she's also an author. Fast forward, she's an author now, and she wrote this book called 75 Years on Two Wheels and Still Riding. She is still riding, right? And if you look at it again, right, when we mentioned that the first motorbike ride is at the age of 16 in 1941. Now, why did I put that little fact in, right? It's because if you can imagine during that era, it's not hard to imagine. It's an era where a lot of women were suppressed, and riding a motorbike is definitely not something a woman would do during her time. So she has to overcome a lot of prejudice and personal obstacles. You can just imagine what kind of obstacles she will have to overcome, and a lot of things that people say that she cannot and all. But she put all this aside. She just ignored all these naysayers, right? And here she is now, writing her Harley Davidson, and she's an author. And I've always wanted to ride a motorbike, right? And I did learn some, take up some lessons, and even went for the exam to get my license. But unfortunately, I failed, right? And I've tried a few times, and I just gave up. And this lady at the age of 90, 95, okay, depending on when you are watching this and when you get the facts, right? Right? She's born in 1935. That's what we need to know. And she's just still riding Harley Davidson. And Harley Davidson is not really exactly an easy motorbike to ride. And I always admire and envy people who ride Harley Davidson, because it's just so amazing, so cool, And this brand has always been something that is represent wild and freedom and cool, and these people are just so amazing, right? I just I have to put her on the list, right? So if you are thinking of learning a motorbike, and you've been thinking that you're too old for it, and you still want to do it, don't let this be an inspiration, right? Just go for it. Yes, right. Let's go to number 3. The third person we want to feature here is a lady called Phyllis Sues, right? and she is she's a tango dancer. She's a dancer, right? She is also a yoga practitioner. Yes, this is her dancing and doing her yoga pose, and look at that pose. It's just so amazing. I know some of you, like sometime back everyone was doing this planking, right? It's just so hard. 1 minute is so hard. Most people can start off with just 5 seconds or 10 seconds. I can't even do that, right? And tango is a dance that I've always wanted to learn but never bothered to do, never really have the time to pick up, right? It's all excuses, right? So she is although people think that tango is a slow dance, but it really requires athletic and precision and grace as well. And you can imagine at the age of 92, those who are dancing, right? So those who are dancing, you know, it can be a little bit challenging. And this Phyllis Sue's device idea about age by being an active dancer and yoga practitioner. Right, let's look at some of her facts. Right, this is her on close up. She still looks so gorgeous, isn't it? Right, she's born in 1923. That will make her 97 this year. Wow, and her first ballet class is at age 14. And at 50, she started her fashion label. Can you imagine that? At the age of 50, she started her fashion label, and everyone will be, I can just imagine everyone will be telling her, it's too late. You're too old for this. Why are you starting this fashion label? No one's going to buy from you, right? Okay, but she didn't, and she went on. This fashion label was successful for nearly 22 years from my research, right? And she has this such like amazing resume, right? I can't put everything in one slide, so I have to squeeze them. Between the age of 70 to 85, she learned French and Italian at the age of 70 to be precise. And then she actually became a trapeze artist at the age of 80. Trapeze artist. I remember we were in Malaysia to do some team building and just have fun, right? And we were supposed to there was this kind of trapeze thing station, and I'm supposed to let go of my left hand and catch the trapeze thing, but I couldn't let go. I mean, can you imagine that? And I couldn't finish that station. I couldn't complete that station. And I'm in my 40s, early 40s, right? So it's just so amazing. All this elderly, and this lady is just so amazing, right? And at age 85, she started her first yoga class. She attended her first yoga class. So at first I thought she has been doing yogas for a while, but actually, no, she only started her yoga class at the age of 85. Have you seen all these people who do this awesome yoga pose? It's just so hard, the headstand or whatever stand, all this just amazing, unbelievable posture and all. I know I use the word amazing a lot, and you're going to hear a lot more during the rest of the session, right? But because I'm just so in awe and blown away by all these people, right? And at 90, she actually went for skydive. And you know what? Skydive seems to be a common thing amongst the rest of it later on. Some of them, our elderly as well, right? So at 90, we went skydive. Now, where I went skydive a couple of years ago, and with some friends, and I remember when the plane opened the door and we're supposed to step out, and I was like, no, I can't. My leg was stuck, and I couldn't get out. I couldn't bring myself to come up, to throw myself out of the plane, right? Even though it's just tandem, right? So that was my first experience doing my skydive. But at the same time, so to me, it's like it's quite scary, and I think skydive can be scary to any age or no matter how many times, and all. It's just you still have that butterflies no matter how many times you do, right? But can you imagine at age 90? You doing a skydive? I know people in the 20s won't even go on they even get scared going on an airplane, let alone doing skydive, right? So this is just something. If you think that you want to do you have always wanted to do skydive, please just go. It's just an awesome experience that I think no matter what, everyone should do it once in their lives. Yes, right. Next, we have number 4. We have Kirby and Doreen. Yes. And George and Doreen Kirby, right? Okay, so actually the first name is George Kirby and Doreen Lucas. Yes, I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Now, this is an amazing couple. For those who are single out there, don't be discouraged, right? So this was so special about this couple, right? They, according to the Guinness World Record books, the oldest newlyweds were George and Doreen Kirby, who married when George was 103 and Doreen was 91. Yay! So can you imagine that? So many of us, when we reach our 40s, 30s, even 30s, 40s, 50s, if we are still single and we just like, oh, you know what? I give up. I'm not going to find anyone or whatsoever. I'm just going to stay like single for the rest of lives. But you know what? They didn't give up in hope and love and all. So let this be an encouraging news to all of us singles out there. Right, there is always hope and love and chance out there no matter what. So if they can get married at 91 and 103, then there's hope for every one of us. Hopefully we won't take so long, right? But I just thought this is just so amazing. I have to put it in. Right. Oh, by the way, the positioning is there's no particular order, right? It's just I just put it in, that's all. So right, next, number 5. Are we at number 5? Right. Fred Mac. Oh, this is another amazing guy, right? So what's so special about this guy? Now, this guy, he jumped his skydive at the age of 100. In fact, he celebrated his 100th birthday by skydiving, not for the first time, but for the second time, right? His first skydiving experience came at age 95. Hold on, just let me get the slide. Okay, so at age 95, he did his first skydive, and at the age of 100, he was recorded as the oldest tandem skydiver, and this happened in 2011, right? And it was a 13,000 foot tandem jump, so it's quite high. And from what I know, some of the maybe somebody can correct me, but the commandos, they did about 10,000, 12,000, yeah, that kind of height, right? So it's actually quite a very high, it's a very significant height. And can you imagine doing a skydive? So he's the second one so far, right, in our list, to do a skydive at the age of more than 90 years old. Now, he was actually a pilot. He flew planes in the 1930s before, and he also worked as an engineer before, helping to design fighter planes during World War II. Now, skydiving isn't his only active hobby. Mike is actually a competitive skier into his 70s and ski all the way into his 90s. He's also the oldest active Jaguar driver in the world, right? And he's also the competitive skier until his 90s, right? So this is taken, and if you can enlarge the screen, you can see this is the screenshot of his video where he just landed from his skydiving, his second one, the one that he celebrated his 100th year birthday, and you will be able to see the footnote that says skydive at 100 years old. Right, go and watch his video. In fact, go and watch all the YouTube video of all the people that are featured here, just so you will really inspire you to do something with your life. Okay, right. Next, let's move on to the next one. Yes, Johanna Quas. Again, I hope I pronounced your name correctly because this is a German name. Now, have you seen this before, this lady? She's the oldest active gymnast in the world. She's born in 1925. That will be about 95 this year. And she started doing gymnastics at an early age and participated in her first competition in 1934, right? And her competition, in 2012, she participated in a competition, and she was entered into the Guinness Book of Records as the oldest gymnast in the world, right? And she is also married to another gymnastics coach for more than 50 years, right? And we have the privilege of having her in Singapore a couple of years ago, and everyone was just she was the top of the town during that time, right? So she is world's oldest gymnast, and at 57, she picked up gymnastics again. Now, why we said this, right? Why we pointed out, because if you look at her age, right, and she picked up gymnastics at an early age, but she was caught in the World War II, right? So she has to stop her gymnastics at that point of time. And later on, at the end of the war, gymnasium wasn't that so-called popular or promoted then, but it was the team sports that were promoted more than individual sports like gymnastics, right? So there was a big gap, and at the age of 57, right, she picked up gymnastics again in a competitive and professional level with another two more friends of hers. Now, at age 90, she jumped out of the plane, right? This is partly to celebrate it was something related to the Queen's birthday, who was turning 90 also that year, right? So jumping out of plane seems to be the common trait so far, right? So everyone, you should go and jump out of plane. No, it's not insanity. It is, right? We should all do that once, and then after that, you will find that everything else, right, fade into the background. Nothing scares you anymore after that. I mean, if you can jump out of the plane, right, what else can scare you, right? Next, we have, let's see, who do we have? Amazing. Madonna, Sister Madonna brother, right? I think it's pronounced as brother, right? Look at that. Another marathoner, right? Not just a marathon runner, but she is actually she's born in 1930, so she will be aged 90 now. She is known as the Iron Nun because she's a Catholic nun, right? So she's known as the Iron Nun. So if you can see from the picture, is Iron Man, right? Is actually the Iron Man competition involves completing 3 items in one day: a 2.4-mile swim, a 112-mile bicycle, and a 26.2-mile run, which is actually the equivalent of a marathon. Right after I run I complete my marathon, I think I just sat on the floor and like for half an hour and I couldn't move. Now this is quite difficult in your prime, but Sister Madonna has done over 45 of these races and continue to compete even at the age of 86. Can you imagine that? Wow. I mean, I am really speechless, right? So her first marathon was at the age of 52. And since 1982, she has completed 342 triathlons. That means all these 3 items, right? The swimming, the bicycle, and the running. And this is something she said, and I thought it was really, really good to quote it down. She has many quotes, right? But I think I only have can do one, so I quoted this: Don't pay attention to how old you are. Only focus on how old you feel. Right? And that really sums up every one of them that is being featured here. And if you look at all the so-called our grandpas, grandmas, and parents, right? And you look at them, all of them is always young at heart. And many of them still dance, still laugh, and still do whatever they want to do. And with the population aging, right? And I really hope every one of you just don't have the mentality that, oh, I'm getting old, this and that. No, you can defy the odds. Yeah, you don't be one of the majority. You can be the minority, and very soon the minority will become a norm and become a majority. It's really possible, really possible, right? So like this, if they can do it, so can we. I always say that, right? Okay, so if you can type in the chat box, if they can do it, so can I, right? Now, this is the last of the group that are in the 90s. Now, they are 90 or above. Yes, so I have come across some that are not quite 90 years, but they are in the 80s. So I'm going to share with you the next few. They are in the 80s, which are quite close to 90. Okay, so the next one is Wang Deshun. Okay, this guy, when I first got, when his picture went viral, his news went viral, I was like, whoa, who is this guy, man? Right? Okay, he is this? Right? Some of you may find this picture quite familiar. It's always an inspiration. Now, I always find that if you are physically fit, you don't get physically fit overnight, and you don't get that kind of body overnight. So there must be a lot of discipline has gone into it. There must be a lot of hard work has gone into it as well. Right, let's take a look at this guy, Wang Deshun. Right, he's from China, and he was born in 1936. Right, so he's 84 now, and he shot to fame, right, when he walked the catwalk in a high-profile fashion show, and So before that, when he came out, the headline was "Sexiest Grandpa Alive." Okay, some call it hottest grandpa, sexiest grandpa, right? And everyone, the guys was like, don't look at him, and then put all the guys to shame. And like, look at, and because some guys have this tummy rather than six pack, right? And he participated. His first appearance is at Fashion Week at the age of 80. Can you imagine that? 80. And if you watch the YouTube, he walked with certainty. He walked with energy, he walked with such a firmness and confidence that a lot of people just like, whoa, just in awe, like, who is this guy? Where did he come from? And he first appeared at the China Fashion Week, which is actually quite high profile in China. And later on, he was actually invited to do the Fashion Week in Milan. Milan Fashion Week is one of the high end and the world international platform, and one of the luxury brand actually invited him. Right, so it's not something just like you catwalk in the house, in our own house, and then our only audience is our cat and dog, right? No, he is walking on international platform, very high profile fashion shows, right? And yes, and his performance and his admirable physique. Some articles describe this way, right? His performance and his admirable physique earned him fame and the nickname "Hottest Grandpa." Right, he is really very amazing. If you look at if we go and read his story, and at age 50, right, he was originally an actor. He's not a model, and he was trying to do a part, and to do that part, right, he needs to get into a certain physics. So at the age of 50, he hit the gym. He has to do 2 hours in the gym, 2 hours run, 2 hours swim, and do all these few hours. I was reading until I just got so like, whoa, I have to stop reading this, right? And between the age of 60 to 78, he has participated in this called living sculpture. That means, they just stand still, and it's really not easy. And he was saying that he has to breathe through his back, right? And he also learned how to ride a horse and a motorcycle at the later age of 75 and 78. Right? Can you again motorcycle? Right? So another common thing seems to be common thing for those who really, the free spirit people, they really like motorcycle, right? Okay. Now, so between that age, right, he started to pick up being a living sculpture, right? Learning how to ride a bike and a horse. It's really not easy, I've learned how to do horse riding at just level 1, the basic, and it can be quite scary from time to time, right? And nothing is easy you start with, and let alone that age. But he never let his age stop him, right? So again, if you ever feel down, just take a look at him, and then you will just tell yourself, hey, what's there to stop me? I've got no excuses, right? Next, let's take a look at who is the next 80s. Oh, this guy again, an amazing guy. He's Japanese, Yuichiro Miura. Okay, again, I hope I got your name correct. So sorry if I get it wrong. And you can imagine from this picture, what are we going to talk about, right? Right, now, he is born in 1932, which makes him age 36 this year. And at age 82, right, he's the oldest person to reach the peak of Mount Everest. Mount Everest. Do you know how difficult, how many people actually have been successful in reaching the peak? And you know something? He didn't only reach it there once, he reached it there 3 times. By this time, at age 82, right, it was his 3rd time reaching the summit. And he said that he wants to try again at the age of 90, right? And let's take a look. And he's the third time reaching the summit. Okay, now coming Mount Everest is really a dangerous and really grueling undertaking. You have to train for it. So the closest I have come to Mount Everest is Nepal, right? Annapurna Base Camp, ABC for short. Now, if you don't know, right, there's actually it's a very popular trek. Actually, it's also fondly known as the tourist trek, because a lot of tourists do that trek. Is actually a kind of being cultivated for the tourists, people like me who are not that fit, but we still want to pretend to climb the mountain and all. So the closest to Mount Everest is that's the closest I ever get to Mount Everest at Nepal, right? And I was 19 then, right? And we spent 11 days in the mountains, climbing the peak and all. So it already, it was a little bit. I was quite young then, so 19, I was still quite fit in that sense. But still, one of the things is that we only carry our little backpack. Our bag, the really big one, right? We actually have porters. So the porters would carry. So I went with a group of friends, and it was part of the school projects as well. And then we were there to do some visiting some orphanage as well. So what happens is that the porters would actually accumulate the big backpack suit, the backpacker kind, right? And put into a basket, and they will carry it and go. And sometimes they will go ahead of us. Sometimes they will stay watch our back, right? And then we all need to just carry our little backpack, the kind that you bring to school. And then for our water and all. So actually, it's nothing to be proud of. But yes, we still completed, we reached the peak and all. And, those porters, they are just so amazing. It was November. I remember it was November and it was quite cold. But they were just in shorts and slippers, and, they were carrying 3-4 bags, right? And they would just zoom and walk past us, like, and sit down there and smoke and chill and wait for us for 15 minutes. It's just amazing how healthy they are and how unhealthy we are. But coming back to this Japanese climber, and can you imagine going for Mount Everest, right? Already we have to train for the base Annapurna Base Camp in Nepal, which is not exactly the tallest in the world in any shapes or forms. We already have to train. What more about Mount Everest? And there's a lot of planning to be done as well, right? And he did it 3 times. Can you imagine that? Wow. I just so unbelievable. I'm just really speechless from time to time. Just all these people, it speaks of their character. How strong-willed are they, and how positive, how optimistic are they, and how much self-doubt they talk to themselves, right? What do they say to themselves? Not just that day, not just for that project, but on a daily basis, right? Next up, we have Rosemary, right? Rosemary Smith, again, amazing, right? Look at her, right? Yes, she was a rally race champion in the 1960s, and she became the oldest person to drive a Formula One car. F1, yes, F1 race, everybody, right? The fastest race in the world. I think it's the fastest race, or one of the fastest, if not the fastest. Right, let's take a look. She was born in 1937, so she's 83 now. Some of us can't even drive, right? And at age 24, she participated in her first rally race. And age 79, she was the oldest person to drive a F1 car. Right, this is her quote: "Sharp as a tack." This was reported of her, right? "Sharp as a tack at 82, as capable a driver now as she was when she entered her first rally back in 1961. Her eyesight did not fail, her response did not fail. She's still as agile and alert as before. Wow, may that happen to all of us, right? And again, during that era, it's really very rare for women to drive let alone participate in a rally and all. And and as I mentioned, right, some of us can't even drive a proper car, a normal car properly, and that's me, right? I have a driving license, but I'm such a lousy driver. So don't even ask me to drive a F1 car. How am I going to handle that? And again, F1 car requires really an athlete, sports that requires a lot of physical strength, and not a lot of people mistaken that people just sit inside and drive. Actually, they do a lot of training in the background as well. They still need to maintain their strength, their physics, their it's just like any other athlete. So they have to do their running, they have to do their muscles, the gym and all. So it's really, really hard, right? So, and how, if it's so easy, right, every one of us will be a F1 driver, right? But we know how hard it can be. Yes, and to withstand that kind of speed and that kind of G-force, you call it, right? So she, at the age of 82, right? So how can you, I don't know how you can do that, man. I mean, your reflex must be so good. I mean, it's really a dangerous sport, right? Okay, right. Last but not least, let's go to our last one, right? He's the youngest on this list, right? He's Jacinto. But I really don't know how to pronounce his name. I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm going to make an attempt at all, right? This is him, right? He is a CrossFit trainer, participant as well. A CrossFit is a highly intensive group fitness sport that is popular in the US and around the world. It's not easy. I've seen it happen. I didn't even want to attempt to it, right? And look at that, man. And to be honest, is okay, let's take a look at his specs, right? Okay, let's take a look. He's born in 1945. His age is 75. I told you he's the youngest in this group, right? And he can do this, right? I don't know how. Actually, it's just so amazing. Just those who understand what it is, right? Understand. Those who don't understand, like me, never mind. Just remember, it's really very heavy. It's really, I can't. The heaviest I think is 20 pounds. I can't remember what weight I can lift, right? So he can lift 325 pounds. He can do squats of 250 pounds, and he can do 20 unbroken pull-ups. Right? I know many youngsters, young guys in their 20s, they can't even do 10, right? So can you imagine at the age of 70 plus, you can still do 20 pull-ups unbroken. Yes, right. So that's our 11 for now. Okay, so are you feeling more inspired, more encouraged, or are you feeling a bit embarrassed like I did when I first read them? Right? Don't be embarrassed. Don't be ashamed. But something that we really take inspiration from them, from all these people, that we can, if they can do it, so can us, right? So we can just do it. Yeah, whatever you want to do, you can just do it. So I want to end off with just this 3 lessons that I learned, right? And if you look at all this, go and Google them, go and YouTube them, watch this video again, pause whatever you need to, right? Go and watch their YouTube. It's just so, it will really blow your mind away. Now, but there are some things common that I want to share. The 3 lessons I really learned from these 11 people, which I think it will translate into how I deal with people as well, right? Now, first up, the first lesson is really, age is really not, it's just a number. It's not going to affect you anything. Now, if you are talking about, if you look back on this, watch this video again, right? You will notice a lot of them just start off something new at the age of 50, 60, 70, 80, or even 90, right? So age is really just a number. It shouldn't stop you from doing whatever you want. Of course, safety comes first, security comes first. You take step by step, bit by bit, day by day. These people, they don't just overnight do a marathon, overnight do an Ironman, overnight do a F1 drive or carry or hundreds of pounds of weights. No, they don't. They start off somewhere. So if you ever want to do something, right, just start off somewhere. Which brings me to my next 2 points, right? They really, in the next point I really notice is they really live to the fullest. Notice how many of them do skydive, right? So, and jump out of plane. So I know many people can't, they just don't even have the guts to look down from 30th floor, right? So let alone jumping out of the plane. Now, whatever is it that you want, if you notice, and they have many quotes, and they are always are talking about, don't regret anything, just, whatever you want, just go and do it. And don't wait until when you're 20s and 30s, do whatever it is that you want to do, right? Don't wait until 40, 50s, then you start regretting, hey, why didn't I do it earlier on, and now I'm a bit old. And even if you're 40s, 50s now, for those who are watching this and you're in your 40s, 50s, it's okay. You are still young, okay? You are only half that age. So it's still possible. Start training now. Start doing whatever it is that you want to do. You have always wanted to do. Go and do it, right? Last but not least is don't be afraid to try something new, right? So if you notice, right, they all do something new. As I have just mentioned, I was jumping ahead, right? They all try something new at the age of 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, right? They never let their age stop them. It's never in my mind that, oh, I'm 80, so I cannot do. Never in their mind, right? If it's in their mind, then they wouldn't have done it, seriously. So we don't be afraid to try something new. And if you really want to change your career, you really want to change your business, just go ahead and do it. And if you want to try doing a new approach when how you deal with people, you want to take up a new course, go ahead and do it, right? And don't be afraid. What have you got to lose? Your ego may bruise for a little while, you might lose your face for a little while, but that's about it. You know what? People don't remember. Seriously, people don't remember. Human beings are so self-centered that we only remember what about our own self. Put it this way, do you even remember what you had for lunch yesterday or last week, right? So don't be afraid of being embarrassed or, that people will look down on you or think lesser of you. Actually, that's not true. And even if you try and you didn't really quite make it, like I've done a few things I didn't make it, I share with you, right? I don't really care how people look at me because I know I've tried it. And if I really want to do it, of course I would have pursued it. But my interest is up to that level. That's all. I only wanted to try. So things that I wanted to pursue more, if I have found a deeper interest, of course I will go further. But otherwise it's okay. I stop at level 1. That's fine. That's all I'm in for anyway, right? So don't be afraid to try anything new. In fact, I always tell my students and my clients, always try something new every year. In fact, now I may want to tell them that every quarter and every month, try something new. Whether it's a new dish, whether it's a new place, whether it's a new person, new method. You know what? You know why? It will get you out of your comfort zone. You won't get complacent, right? So, and then that will make you adapt to changes very, very quickly. You'll be surprised if you go by these 3 lessons that I've just shared, right? A lot of your things in your life would have changed because I've seen them. I've seen how people adopt this kind of mentality and change their life. Right, that's all I have for today. Do you have a burning question when it comes to people, whether it's dealing with yourself or with others? Let us know in the comments box, or you can drop us a private message. We'll answer to the best that we can. Right? Many people have asked me why am I speaking and doing training on the topic like on people skill. Right? It's because I believe that people skill is a very practical and important skill set. I would say it's a life-saving skill set. I know many of you are concerned about being replaced by technology and artificial intelligence. I totally believe that people skills is one skill set that will never be replaced by technology and AI. You can learn about coding, cybersecurity, or whatever competent skills for your occupation, but these are technical skills. And these technical skills will get obsolete and you will have to keep improving yourself in this area. Yes, they are important. I'm not knocking them down. In fact, I talk about how important they are also. But behind every hardware, software, non-living thing, there's a human being. This is what keeps me going because I know behind every camera, there is one person watching, learning, and needing this message. Now, it doesn't matter what business or what industry are you in, you are always dealing with people. Furthermore, let's face it, we are all social animals, right? We crave for the company of other people. Now, this pandemic has shown us more so than ever. With all this safe distancing, not able to gather with your family and friends, it has shown us that even with the best technology, it cannot replace the company of each other. So you might as well start learning how to deal with people. And the first person to deal with is with yourself. So hit the like and share button and subscribe and follow us in this journey of improving yourself. See you in our next video. Bye.